Sostic, very big social media Crested Gecko influencer to us, is leaving the industry. Um, we're going to talk a little bit today about what does that mean, and hopefully continue to express hopefully the same message that he put out there about doing Crested Geckos, or aspirations of doing Crested Geckos as a full-time career. Worth it or not? And if you do want to do it, here's some things that you need to make sure that you have in place. What's going on, guys? Will here, Flawless Crested Geckos, coming to you guys with another video. Little not under the weather, but sad. We never got a chance to meet Sostic in person. We felt like we've known him since we got in the game, but we've been doing this 8 years. We weren't on social media when he started, and his channel and his approach, everything he had going on with his business model, excelled. This is not going to be a judgmental video about Sostic, because we have too much respect for him to bring him down, talk about him in a negative light, and that's not what Flawless represents. But what we do represent is trying to be transparent and give everyone a fair shot at possibly doing this or not. You know, to know on the front side and say, hey, this ain't for us. For example, like days like today, I mean, it's 5:30 in the morning, and we have to do our social media. Got to map out our entire day, and record and edit and make sure we're working on our social media posts across all platforms. Do our day-to-day things, as well as feeding. And when feeding takes you, anywhere from 12 to 14 hours on a feeding day, you got to make sure that you're getting up bright and early and mapping everything out. I don't say all this to complain about what needs to be done, but I do say this because behind the scenes, all these things are being done, which is a lot of different topics of what Sostic was talking about in some of his videos, in this latest video, about what it actually takes. It's not, rainbows and butterflies all the time. It's a grind. And to our argument of being breeders, I mean, it is two of us in the business plus the kids that we employ. So we have to talk a little bit about scale. So I'll try not to drag the video on too long. Have to agree a lot with everything Sostic said. But if you are young or older, or just simply want to be a Crested Gecko breeder, whether it's full-time, part-time, listen up a little bit. Our opinion on the effort, you gotta apply yourself 1,000%. You're gonna have ups and downs in the business, but you also have to plan. I think one of the most important things about the business side of things is separating business and hobby. We preached that for a very long time. There's nothing wrong with doing either. But if you're going to do it as a full-time business, there's a lot of bottom line things that you need to put out there in your business plan, the market, things like that. What's your bottom line? What are you paying yourself? What are you keeping, revolving overhead for your business? Do you have a pay for yourself where, okay, this is for yourself for your day-to-day life? Do you have business accounts for the business where something pops up that furthers your business? You're not taking away from your day-to-day money to go attain whatever it is you got to get. there's a lot of things. You guys know we preach about business planning, and some of these things may scare people from wanting to dive in. And that's why I say, for the sake of the argument of what Sostic has documented, kudos and respect, because it should scare you. Because guess what? If your business, your full-time business goes under, and this was all you were doing, I mean, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be hurt. It's going to be another one of those unsuccessful businesses. Most businesses fail in 5 years. So, not saying that you can't do it, but definitely understand Sostic's presentation and stance on it, and it makes sense. So this is not a this or that. We just want to put some stuff out there. Just because we have our ear to the streets, we listen to everything. We want to also put out there in business period that you need to have what they call in training when we were in law enforcement. It's like continued education every single year. I don't care if you were an officer for 10 years, you got in service, you got training, you got new policies and procedure. You got to always continue to train. And it's on your department to go out there and get the knowledge from the industry itself to bring it back to you and train you, whether you're one of the newer generations where you're online and see all these things happening yourself, or whether you're one of the OG veterans and been on the force for 20, 30 years and you don't even jump on the internet, no Facebook, no nothing. The department is still bringing back all of this information to disseminate to their entire force in hopes of making you a better person and a better officer. Same thing goes for anything else that's in the industry. So when you're an entrepreneur, there's things on the business side that you need to continue to educate yourself. You have to remember, if you're talking business, what's your product? In the Crested Gecko world, your product is Crested Geckos. So unfortunately, there's no rhyme or reason, no structure to it per se, but there's a lot of representations out there that you can go and gain information from because of the time that they've been around. Pangea, Repashy on the food side of things, Northern Gecko, Altitude Exotics. There's so many names, but still a very few when you consider how niche the market is. So number one thing we want to talk about is scale. Okay, so with scale is the name of the game, scaling your business in several different ways, but one in particular, when we were breeding in this very room, as well as 2 other rooms in the house, we noticed that to further our production, to further our projects that we were trying to perfect, which you can't perfect these guys, but you guys know what I mean. We needed to hold animals back and grow them out and watch them progress, learn our lines, learn how different genes react to certain things, the longevity of the project. Over time, we can gain more information and education on the Crested Geckos to be able to disseminate to our customers and people possibly interested in these projects. By doing this, we gain more of a level ground for ourselves and can almost come to a better assumption on things we needed to keep and hold back for ourselves that can make us better. Once we hit the ceiling as far as being able to keep inside of our home as a business, we still weren't full time. We were, like Sostic was saying, doing policing at the time and geckos on the side with aspirations of doing it full time. At that point, we had to dive deeper. We were doing very well financially because all the gecko money was the gecko money. Plus, we were investing more and more and more of our own money out of pocket. Pretty much the name of the game was how long could we do without it? So we wanted to double down, and keep reinvesting. One of the ways that we looked at it was overhead as well. So you have scaling your business. We hit a ceiling with the capacity. I'll touch back on that quickly in a minute. And overhead. being out of the red, superficially, not in real life, because being out of the red is meaning, okay, I invested, $100,000 into Crested Geckos. It's been 6 years, and now I made $100,000 back plus 10, and now I'm in the black. So at that point, when we were still in home, we weren't out of the red per se, but we also didn't want to compound our expenses. We didn't want to have necessarily a monthly loan payments and things like that, but at the same time, we treated our investment as a true investment. Like, okay, we're going to throw this money out there and we're not going to get it back. We're not even going to worry about getting it back. Thankfully, so far it's worked, because we've gotten our investment back tenfold. And the market at the time did help. But that being said, when we maxed out this, our facility inside our home, we started venturing off on how to expand that. The only other way, since we owned our home, our residence, was to build a facility. And we're very proud of the vault. We built the vault. We, documented it along the way. One of our approaches on that, because we've done so many videos, go check those out, was to approach it as the same way we did as the geckos. When we bought geckos here and here, building our foundation, we bought gecko by gecko by gecko. We didn't worry about trying to finance them. This was our approach. So we didn't want to finance them or anything like that. So the facility, we didn't want to finance that. We wanted to fund it. That's why we ordered for pretty much the outer shell of it to be built. It was finally delivered per order, and then we took pretty much almost 6 to 8 months building it out pretty much ourselves, Audra and myself, as well as the kids, going through inspections, plumbing inspection, electrical inspection, drywall, insulation, the whole 9 yards, HVAC. So it is what it is. We finally had got all of that all together, try to keep myself on track, and got the facility built. And once the facility was built, we had to still outfit the facility. We were building rack systems. We had custom rack systems built for us, and everything was a go. We were still rocking and rolling. Pretty much everything that was coming in extra, as far as for the business, we made sure that we invested into the business. So,
hey guys, Flawless Crested Geckos here, Will and Audra.
And we're here to tell you guys about our new Patreon tier. Have you guys ever played the lottery, lose, and get all your money back?
That's not really a thing, is it? Oh, but yes it is. With our new tier, the $100 a month, you get every single bit of your money back. That's for right. The entire year. But guess what? It doesn't end at the end of the year. Right. No, you have rollover. So you can continue to build your savings account as much as you would like. Right. But guess what? That's not all.
That's right. You also
the biggest perk?
Are automatically entered for our annual free Xanthic giveaway. Visual Xanthic.
A free visual Xanthic. Oh my gosh. Who does that? We do.
That's right. So you guys are going to want to go over to patreon.com/flawless crested geckos and check us out.
Join the Flawless family.
So again, revisiting, like I promised you guys, the scaling, you have to make sure you scale things. A lot of things what we do, almost everything that we do is by design. So it's like, okay, you have 2,500 geckos. Why are you going to have 2,500 geckos? Number one, it takes that many geckos to work the different projects that we're working in what we call serious. And then that doesn't mean anyone else is not doing it serious, because we can probably house more than that. But we can effectively get our holdbacks, have sellable animals as well, and continue to get better in all these projects around those numbers. We're not shooting to, oh, this is what we need to have, but somewhere around there is what we need to have. And the reason being is we never want to be forced to sell holdbacks. We want to be able to also offer the same quality. Sometimes it's literally like splitting hairs. to figure out which one we're going to hold back. Are we going to hold back all of them? Are we going to release a couple of this or that to be able to offer some top-notch geckos to the general public? A lot of that stuff we roll through on Patreon, you know, first time around, and then everything else rolls out. But scale. So how are you going to scale your business? So now you've kind of came up with this game plan. Everything is laid out. You even figured out how much you're going to pay yourself, which is a very hard number to come up with, being that you don't even know, you don't have a 2-week check. You don't know how much your business is going to bring in. Maybe you're going to pay yourself monthly. You got to figure out all these numbers to make sure you're not in the red as far as operating. It's extremely difficult. And you would think it's easier when things are going really, really well and your sales are through the roof, but it's still difficult even under those circumstances. So I'll roll it out for you guys. So let's say, for instance, you're going at the end of the month and you're watching this video right now. At the end of the month, unexpectedly, you make $5,000 in sales. How, are you gonna, divide that? What are you gonna do? Does that go straight to the business, reinvest into the business? Does a portion of that, are you working on percentages where a portion of that is paid out to yourself? Like, what is your business plan? How are you working that? Do you have rolling revenue where it's consistently coming in where you can pay yourself? A lot of questions, a lot of variables. That's why we do agree with a lot, about 80%. 90% of everything what Sostic was saying. And it's sad to see him leave because we love watching his videos. But these are very pertinent and important points that he brought up, and things that I'm happy he was transparent about and bringing to the industry. And I feel like us not talking about them would be doing a disservice. So you have, let's say 1,000 geckos and you're building, let's say 500 geckos, and you're building your business, you're hatching out babies, you're rocking and rolling. You have to figure out what you're going to do. Let's say you're going to pay yourself monthly. Let's say you've checked everything because it's a hobby, you have another source of income, and you're still building your business. And on a regular basis, let's say for your entire first year, you had up months, down months, but for the whole first year, let's say you did $20,000. If you did $20,000, that basically would mean that you did $1,666.67 on average per month. On average, though, that means some months you may have made 500, some months you may have made 3,000. So that's going to determine what you're doing with some of those funds. So let's say you're going to pay yourself 25% of whatever your income for the business is. So if you're made $20,000 for the whole year, that means you're going to pay yourself $5,000 for the whole year. So if you're paying yourself $5,000, I'm doing the math, guys, $5,000 for the whole year, that will break down to right at $416 per month. Okay, so you're going to pay yourself $416 per month. That's what you're getting paid to take care and love your animals. So you start working those numbers in. So figure out a type of system like that, because what ends up happening, you can do nothing but benefit from that. Number one, it's still a hobby that you're seeking to step up into a business level, and you have some type of structure to your business plan. Therefore, the months, as long as it's not your first month, but the months, if 4 and 5 months in, you could be paying yourself that $416 every single month like clockwork as an actual payment from what you're doing from having fun. But also where you benefit from is at the end of the year, after you're 2 and 3 years in and you're changing your scale depending on how consistent the business side of things are, you can increase that, you can decrease that. You still pretty much brought in an income for yourself, but at the same time, when you're looking at, I'm gonna restructure, I need more females, or I need better males, guess what? In the first year, you got $15,000 sitting right there to go boom. making that literally ready to step it up. And by spending that 15 grand on what you think that you need at the time, you have the opportunity to maybe in 2 years step your $20,000 income of Crested Gecko sales up to 40, up to 35, whatever it may be, which in return improves your bottom line or what you can pay yourself. So you want to work on scale. Another thing with scale, like with our numbers, you have to understand the market is going to do what it's going to do, which is why we did not want to only do like Exantics. Exantics, we can barely hold them in stock when we release them, but we didn't want to only do Exantics because other Crested Geckos excite us just the same as Exantics. We wanted to spread our wings and, be across the board and do quite a few different morphs and genes and work with and try to work on certain combos that maybe other people haven't put together and kind of control our destiny to a certain extent. So that helps with scale. A lot of the stuff that we produce, we can hold back. We don't have to sell. We're not forced to sell certain projects, but we still have very, very nice geckos that we can offer to the public. Also, again, scale. Scaling of your business it can be detrimental. If you're used to a median of $250 from gecko sales, and very rarely, let's say you're having $1,000 sales or $5,000 sales here or there, what happens when those sales go away? If those sales go away, because again, this space that we're in, this isn't like putting food on the table. It isn't like making sure your vehicle is running so you can go back and forth to work. This space that we're in, even though it's full time, it's not the same for everyone that's buying from you. They still want to have enjoyable animals. So therefore, in tough times, even like now, the spending from customers may be down. They may not be willing to go out on a limb to spend 5 grand, 4 grand, 2 grand. It depends on your customer and what your demand is. And if that's the case, what are you going to do? Well, for us, there's several different things that we will be able to do because we're into so many different projects. But if you've been on the average, let's say across the whole year since we've been doing yearly totals, let's say on the average you've been selling, 10 $1,000 geckos, and then you watching the numbers and watching everything trend because you watch everything because of your business plan, and you've noticed that your average sales went from $1,000 to your average sale is $300. That's a 70% decline. What would you do? So with numbers like ours, there's several things that we can do. You can release more. So let's say, for instance, instead of you only doing, let's say, 200 geckos for the year and you still having a demand, you can release more geckos. You can revamp your projects. You can hold back more to grow out. How much of decline can your business absorb? Are you going from bringing in $100,000 a year to only bringing in $30,000 a year? What's going to keep you functional? What's going to keep you afloat? Do you have loan payments to pay back, facility payments to pay back, mortgages to pay? So all these things, when things are going exceedingly well, were things that we attacked on our business side. Get rid of the mortgage, pay that off, pay the facility off, pay this off, everything. You're almost rolling around paying everything cash. But at the same time, you're living very modest because you're kind of trying to prepare yourself for times like now where, let's say, hey, you got all these things, all these wonderful things, but essentially, let's say that you can function on $40,000 a year if you had to, for year after year, because a lot of those, big things are taken care of, no car payments, no mortgages, things like that. So but you've designed this for your business yourself. So there's a lot of different things you got to look at when you want to look at this business in Crested Geckos on a larger scale. And then you got to also look at operating costs. What is your operating cost to do business? Which for Crested Geckos is truly lower than most reptile businesses. The most expensive thing, I say, reoccurring cost is going to be your food. And even with your food costs, it's still not a lot with so many different competitors out there competing for your business. There's several different big name food brands that's off, competing for your business. Then you have your live bugs, whether you do dubia or crickets. But you can, at our scale, you can easily, what are we doing? Let's see. We're roughly $250 a week in crickets. So let's say 250 times 52 is 13, and so we're about $13,000 in crickets per year, and we're right at about $10,000 in gecko diet per year. So we're looking at $23,000 in just food. That's gonna have to be done every single year. So you need to make that in sales. So that's something that's a reoccurring cost. It may go up, it may go down, but it won't be drastic, thankfully. You may talking $1,000 up or $1,000 down, depending on how everything may adjust, who's your source, wholesale accounts and things like that, as well as it's still another avenue to make revenue because you can sell those products as well. That's the major point. You need to look at the big picture. That's what I want you guys to get from this video. Look at the big picture. This business may not be for everyone, but we want to also be a part of the community that's inclusive. So we want to at least lay it out there for you to make a conscious decision. Can it be done? Yeah, it's a lot of work, as you can see at 5:30 in the morning. But it's will. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Drop a thumbs up, subscribe, go over to Sostic's Instagram, go over to his YouTube, say your farewells. He's been amazing for the community and the information that he's provided. And we really wish we would have got a chance to meet him in person. But as will, Flawless Crested Geckos, and we are out.